It's the 8th day on board the Medellin on our journey to break the siege of Gaza and to create a people's humanitarian corridor. We are right now somewhere in the Mediterranean Sea, but if we look right there, 190 miles from where we are, it's Gaza. A place that has been living under siege by sea, by land and by air for 18 years, that has been living, like all historical Palestine, 8 decades of genocide and ethnic cleansing that structured itself into a colonial apartheid state, and which is led not by a religion, but led by an ideology, which is racist and supremacist, called Zionism. It's very important that we never forget why we are here. This mission should not exist. We've always been saying that. It should be done by governments, by international organizations, not by 12 everyday people that fits on this 18-meter boat called the Medellin. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition knows that we only need to do this because the governments are failing with Palestine. And we always say, when governments fail, we sail. So we go. Now we are living the decisive days. And it's been so beautiful to see. We've been talking so much with so many children in Gaza, with doctors in Gaza, with journalists from Gaza. And they've been sharing so much of how much hope this mission brought to them. We've been speaking, sending videos that are being broadcasted in demonstrations all around the world. When people are feeling that now we can all have hope that this nightmare, which is the genocide promoted by the Zionists, but also backed by US imperialism, will finally have an end. And it's very important that we understand that this mission is a humble mission. We are just 12 people here. We carry all the aid we can carry. Food, medicine, crutches, we carry prosthetics for amputated children, we carry water filters and everything else we could. But of course it's a drop in the ocean for the necessities of Gaza. Even if we had the 3 big vessels that we had last year, for example, when we tried to break the siege again and we were stopped, even that would be a drop in the ocean. Our main goal is to break the siege to create a people's humanitarian corridor. And that, when countries will finally understand that they have a way, to be honest, they do have a way, and they have also an obligation. They are the countries that signed the international treaties. They signed the Geneva Convention. They signed the UN Charter. They signed the Statute of Rome. They signed the Global Convention of the UN against the crime of genocide. They signed the Convention of the UN against apartheid. So it's not like they can choose to ignore it. It's their obligation to do so. But since they are not doing, they say they have no means, we are here to provide the means, which is to open a way for them to do it. And we know the risks. Netanyahu himself, one of the worst person who ever walked this earth, he's been saying that he's going to block our mission. And so far, the information we get from the Israeli media is that they've already deployed 3 units of the Special Forces, Unit S-13, Unit S-6, and Unit S-3 to block us and to attack us. It is complicated because whenever we are training our participants here in non-violence, because we are a humanitarian non-violent mission, we always tell them that all the interceptions that happened in the history of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, we discussed this a lot in our steering committee with our other steering committee members, that all the interceptions that happened came from this Unit S-13. They are very used to commit war crimes. They are the ones who executed 10 of our people in the Mavi Marmara. 9 at the very same night, 15 years ago, and another one died a few months later in a hospital bed. So they are used to it. They are the ones who usually intercept flotillas. But now they added 80 members, a unit of 80 members of S-13, another unit of 80 members of S-6, and a force from S-3 with helicopters. That's the intel we have so far from Israeli media. So they're probably preparing to commit another war crime. It's important that we mention that. Any humanitarian mission that tries to get to Gaza is protected by the International Court of Justice provisional rulings on the case that South Africa opened against Israel for the crime of genocide. So if any nation, not only Israel, any nation tries to hinder aid, they are committing a crime under international law. International Criminal Court, on the case opened by 620 Chilean lawyers against Netanyahu himself and the former Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant, also says the same thing. They cannot hinder aid. It would be illegal to hinder aid. Also, the UN Security Council resolutions, that the very few of them that were not vetoed by the United States, complicit in this genocide, the very few that were approved also talked about allowing humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. So it's very, very important that we find a way to make sure that this happens, because they are the ones doing illegal stuff. They are the ones trying to violate the law of the seas, because we are in international waters now. And then we go to Palestinian territorial waters. We never cross their path. They have no jurisdiction here. That's why we do not ask for their permission. All they have is their weapons, is their bombs, is their violence, is their hate. And we have all the rest. We have collectivity, we have social majority, we have truth, justice, love, solidarity. And that's why we are way stronger than them. And that's why we do not fear them. And we train all of our participants. They're all aware. They were all aware since the beginning when we invited them to this mission. This mission took so much work. It was so hard to organize. We'd just been bombed 1 month ago in Malta. 2 Israeli drones bombed us 1,800 kilometers away from Gaza. And right now they're threatening to attack us again to commit another war crime. And the best security measure that we have is visibility. Is you sharing, you pressuring your nation states, pressuring your governments, for them to pressure for a safe passage, for them to send the military vessels. There are 2 US aircraft carriers right here. There are German vessels, there are French vessels, there are Italian vessels. There are many, many military vessels that if a single one of them would accompany us to guarantee a safe passage, it would severely diminish the risk of our mission to open a people's humanitarian corridor. And most likely they won't, I'm being very honest with you, but we need to pressure them. We need to pressure them. Because if a single nation comes forward, we have a much better chance. And you know, will not be something exactly new. In 1956, in what people call the Suez Crisis, it was another attempt of the Zionist entity to occupy Egypt and to overthrow the government of Pan-Arabist Gamal Abdel Nasser. He was nationalizing the Suez Canal that was under control of the British and imperialism in general. And by then, the Zionist entity trying to invade the Sinai Peninsula, and they actually invaded, and tried to invade and escalate the genocide over the Palestinians in Gaza. But by that moment, the ties between US and Israel were not so strong as today. And even the Soviet Union as well. In the end, they were the 2 big major powers by then. They were against this invasion. So they came and they created a global peace force. And we had Brazilians peacemakers here, created by the UN. And this peacekeeping force remained for 10 years in the Sinai Desert and on the margins of Gaza as well, maintaining the peace. And this could easily be done by now. If countries had the political will, they would simply come and make sure this genocide ends. But the problem is that they do not have the political will. And the social majorities of the world, they do. They want this genocide to happen. They know deep in their hearts that starving children to death is wrong. That bombing schools, hospitals, shelters is wrong. But they don't control their nation states. They still haven't constructed people's power yet, at least in most places. So it's still our historical task to do. So that's why the Palestinian cause is connected to all other causes. Because by trying to stop a genocide, people are facing oppressive regimes. People are facing a huge blockade in the freedom of speech and freedom of organizing. So I always say that the future of the Palestinian people is most likely the future of all mankind. And that's why we need to be here. Today is a very decisive day. We do not fear them. We train our participants to react non-violently, even in the case of the worst atrocities. We are 190 miles from Gaza, and we are coming. We do not fear Netanyahu. We do not fear their weapons, because we know we have history on our side and millions and billions together with us. So we keep on going.